Well, welcome everyone. My name is Sarah Pearson. I am the assistant conductor for the Symphony of Northwest Arkansas, and I am so excited today to have our guest conductor on our next concert with the Symphony of Northwest Arkansas, Larry Loh. Welcome, Larry.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. We're so excited. You'll be with us coming up on Saturday, October 28th at the Walton Arts Center, and so excited about that. Today, you're in New York, is that correct?
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah, this is where I live.
Okay.
So I conduct the professional orchestra in Syracuse, and we make our home here. And yeah, and this is my office.
Yes. Well, that's awesome. Today I'm actually not in Tennessee because that's where I normally am, but we're on vacation. So I'm down here in Florida. So I told Larry before we got started, if anyone hears any birds or crazy animals, it's because I'm on my in-laws' back porch. So hopefully there's not going to be any crazy things happen. But we're so excited
I
to have.
kind of hope something crazy happens. I think that'll be
Right,
okay.
it makes it more exciting, right, that way. I put
Yeah.
my dog inside Bella, so hopefully she's not gonna be late wanting conversation.
Yeah.
So I would love for our audience, our patrons, to get to know you a little bit ahead of time, Larry. So we'll just start kind of at the beginning. What made you want to become a musician? Obviously, you're a conductor because you're gonna be conducting for us.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So I grew up in Central PA. My mom was a violin teacher. She taught Suzuki violin, and we all just did that. All I'm the middle of three, and we all took violin with my mom, and then took piano from pretty young age. And I don't know if that's what made me. I mean, I know that that planted the seed, but I think at that time I just thought, oh, I'm just gonna play my instruments, and that's just what I do. And I didn't think that I was necessarily going to do that as a profession, and
Right.
I really didn't for quite a while, actually. But that's when I first started, I think, becoming a musician as a part of my general identity, and then much later for going into it professionally.
Very cool. So you started on violin. Was that your main instrument going forward? Is what you played
Well, yeah,
then?
so I started on violin, then I did piano and violin. And then when the instrument person came to the school and showed us all these different instruments,
Yeah.
I was totally captivated by saxophone. Came home with
Okay.
a saxophone slip, and then my parents were like, let's just do clarinet, because my mom played in an orchestra, and she just
Mhm.
knew that there was a little more for clarinets to play in an orchestra than
All right.
saxophone. Nothing against saxophone, because that's what I wanted to do. But I ended up playing clarinet, and that is actually my main instrument.
All right.
But these days I play more piano because it's just easier for me
Right. On the
to
org.
kind of play in a
Yeah.
casual way. Yeah.
Yes. So did you have any hobbies or interests outside of music that maybe kind of made you who you are today outside? I mean, obviously music was a large part
Yeah.
of
Yeah. I mean, I did all the kind of team sports and individual sports that were popular in our neighborhood. I
it.
played soccer. I played baseball. I did tennis. We would go skiing every year. We would go out to Aspen. My dad was a physician, and we would
Okay.
go in these conferences. So I would get out of school to go to Aspen and go skiing, and then come back and write a book report on, or some kind of report on why it was educational for me to go to Aspen.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was really fun to just kind of explore a lot of different things. I played hockey,
Hmm.
ice hockey. That was kind of a big thing
Makes
that I did
sense.
in through a lot of my time growing up. And yeah, and I think it turns into now, like I can go to an ice rink, and I can ice skate, I can play hockey still.
Hmm.
When you learn when you're really young, it's kind of easy to retain
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
But I would say, as far as hobbies, biking these days and tennis are kind of the main things that I do, and spend time with my family. I'm married, and we have two kids. One's in college, and one is in a senior in high school. So it's super busy, and kind of takes up any time that would be like a hobby.
I get it. I'm in a similar boat. I have one in college and one in high school still. So
Oh, okay, yeah,
very,
yeah.
very
So
busy.
yeah,
Yeah.
sympathy for your, yeah,
But but it's good. Every season and every moment has been wonderful.
Of
You just
course.
embrace it.
Yeah.
So, what led you to be? I mean, obviously, you talk a whole lot about the instruments you played, and your dad being a physician and traveling a lot. What got you into being a conductor, interested in doing that?
Yeah. So I think, I mean, I know there's a sequence of different little events that happened. One was when I was in high school, we had this giant marching band in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and I remember um, kind of tentatively auditioning to be the drum major of this thing, and ended up being the drum major for the last 2 years of high school, and that was a really big, I think, just being in front of musicians and
Mm,
having confidence, being in a leadership position. Like when I think about it, is it's there's some elements of that I think that are similar, but of course it's very different what I do now.
yeah.
But that was kind of the seed. And then when I went to the University of Rochester pre-med and was taking clarinet and then eventually conducting at Eastman while they're doing all this other stuff. And I a cappella group I was music director of, and but then in the end, my senior year, I took my first classes of electives for conducting, and that was kind of a big turning point for me because I thought maybe I would teach music theory or do something kind of like that, or at this point, I kind of the pre-med part had just kind of moved aside as my interest in music developed even stronger while I was there. I was in a really good place to explore lots of different things. But it was really that last year when I took those conducting courses when I realized that it was something that was viable and interesting and something I wanted to explore.
Wow. So
Then
you
yeah,
did
grad
kind
school
of
and
like you're
yeah.
kind of following your dad's path, doing pre-med, and then realized that music was for
Yeah,
you.
in the beginning. Yeah, and then I then followed my mom's path after, kind of halfway through. But then like I think I remember thinking, yeah, sure, I want to be a conductor, but I had no idea what
What
I
that?
would have to do to do that. And there are all these schools, and I would just talk to the grad students at Eastman. They'd say, "Oh, you can apply to this school, or do this, or go to this program, or whatever." And so I just did all I just had no idea, and just applied for programs, got into Indiana, did that, went to Aspen, and actually, my connection to SoNA is that I was at Aspen with Paul Haas.
Oh, okay.
So
Awesome.
we were there together. Yeah, I think both years, if not just one of the 2 years that I went. But we were good friends there. We were buddies, and we hung
Yeah.
out a lot. And he and I would play in each other's little ad hoc orchestras that we put together. We played some of his original music. Um, it was so fun to be there with him because he's so dry and funny,
Mhm.
and we would just we hung out a lot and had a great time. Not lost touch since then, and although I haven't seen him in person in a really long time, and I don't expect to at this concert, which is funny because when you're a conductor, as you know,
Right.
you're usually not in a group of conductors. Maybe there's two of you at a time, but if you're doing different things, you're just two ships passing in the night, and sometimes not even passing. We're just in different places.
It's like a rare treat when you're when you're together to be
Yeah,
able to get
exactly.
reconnect. But I love the fact
And
that
he lives in the state, like we're not actually that far apart,
great.
but we're just both too busy.
Yeah, I
So
get it. I get it. It's like friends of mine that we've studied in festivals together, and like you have to just like set a date to like do a Zoom call together to catch up.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I get it. So based, talking a little bit more about this and going into thinking about the concert, what do you think makes a great musician? Maybe there's someone listening that they're, listening to your story, before we talk about the concert. They're like, wow, maybe that's a path I could take. But what are some things that, as a musician or someone thinking about conducting, that would be something that they could do?
Yeah. So I think, you know, I, I just remember my priorities shifting at some point from just perfection to interesting music making.
Yeah.
I think when you're a younger musician, we're kind of hyper focused and probably for good reason, on perfection.
Mhm.
And then there's this level in which there's so much perfection that, the only way to rise above the group is to be an interesting musician.
Mhm.
And I think for me personally, I'm looking for great great ideas, great musicianship, in a conductor, in a musician auditioning for an orchestra. That there has to be something beyond just being perfect.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately there is this base level at most orchestras where in an audition you have to basically play everything perfectly, and then also in a profound way somehow. And some of it's difficult to describe, and some of it is not the same. Uh, if the same person does what someone else did, it's not necessarily because you have to be genuine. It has to come from something from that person.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that I always strive for in myself, and have always looked for in others, when I'm in a position to have to evaluate or
Sure.
have some kind of opinion. It's a rough field, I think, for especially for conductors. I think it's
Oh yeah.
a completely yeah, it's very difficult to find a path, because there's no prescribed path. Everyone has a different path, and there's so many things that different committees or search committees or audition panels are looking for.
Yeah.
What they might look for in an assistant conductor, which I've done a lot of that.
Mhm.
And being a music director or being a teacher or whatever, so many different aspects to the job as a conductor that you have to be good at, and then in the end to not feel like, oh, I wasn't good enough, because a lot of times it's some
Mhm.
like match kind of issue where it's just looking for the right
Right.
person for a position.
Right. Yeah, that's really, really great advice and wonderful thoughts on that. Looking at like your path, right? Because you were talking about, assistant conductor. I mean, yours was very outside of the box too. I think all of ours, very much so that you just, step by step, go that path and things just happen and
Yeah,
unfold.
yeah. I mean, I think for me, honestly, I was assistant at three pretty big jobs: Colorado with Marin Alsop, Dallas with Andrew Litton, and then Pittsburgh with Manfred Honeck, as music directors. And all of these music directors were great, and they were so interesting. And I remember after Dallas, even after Colorado, I remember thinking, I'm all done doing that. Like I thought the next step is to do, whatever, be music director or something. And then I just kept finding ways to keep growing in these positions where I felt like it was good for me to be in these positions, especially in Pittsburgh, when I had left Dallas and I actually became a music director of a great orchestra in northeastern Pennsylvania. And then I was offered this position in Pittsburgh, and I remember thinking, oh, I'll just do it for a year and just kind of, I don't know, transition into just being a music director. And I just loved that, being with that orchestra. It was so rich with experiences, and they played at such an incredible level. And we were doing international touring, and I was just learning so much that I felt like I wanted to keep staying. And then because I was doing this other stuff, I think the unusual thing in my path was that I was doing these kind of simultaneous things, being music director and being a resident conductor, and doing different responsibilities with each. And I think each helping the other in a way that helped me continue to grow as a musician, and bring me to where I am today.
I love that, and I think the key is being a lifelong learner, whatever your
Yeah,
occupation is, right?
exactly.
Definitely as conductors, and I would totally agree that every group that I've been with for various reasons have grown me and continue to grow me and make me who I am
Yeah,
today. And I'm sure that contributed to like the program that you're going to be conducting. If we want to maybe kind of transition and talk a little bit about that, right?
sure.
Your experience being an assistant conductor, maybe you're like, oh, I really like that piece, or I want to program that
Right.
to compile it together. So maybe let's talk a little bit about the program. It is a Haunted Harmonies Halloween concert. So maybe you want to just kind of take us through some of the music, maybe why you chose
Yeah.
it, or what maybe our patrons can expect for that evening.
Sure. Yeah. So definitely a lot of my past experiences contributed to this program. And a lot of it, so I can kind of just talk through, I think the genesis of it, I remember when Paul texted me about doing this program, he said it's a pops concert, but it's in our main series,
Mhm.
and it's not like a one rehearsal kind of thing. They're
Right.
really investing in it to make it really good. So that was exciting. It kind of opened the door for it to be, I think, more rich with unusual pieces, and all of it kind of centered around general Halloween. The first half is kind of classical
Right.
pieces that are in the classic kind of Halloween themes. The Liadov Baba Yaga, the Bach Stokowski Toccata and Fugue, which
Yes.
Paul had actually suggested, which I thought was a great, it's just
Yes.
it's
It's
so
very
perfect
Halloweeny.
for, it's very Halloweeny.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe
Uh,
that's not a word, but I just came to
Yeah,
me.
no, exactly.
Something.
It's yeah, there's something about the way that that opens
Yeah, that
that really brings
da-da-da.
it. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like it has this theme that people associate with with that time of year. This
Yes.
time of year, which we're entering. Camille Saint-Saëns' Danse Macabre and Dukas Sorcerer's Apprentice, really famous from Fantasia. So
Yes.
that's kind of, that's a good half for the orchestra to shine in classical
Mhm.
repertoire that is totally entertaining. I'll be talking to the audience through this. I expect the audience to be in costume. Expect the orchestra to
I
be
think
in costume
orchestras
if they
as well,
want.
yes. Yes,
Yeah,
we
yeah, that's good. Yeah, and I'll be in costume as
oh.
well, of course. Um, but then the second half, we kind of switched to Halloween in other areas outside of the stage concert hall. So, like, film or centered around what people dress up as, or horror movies, or whatever. So we have Witches of Eastwick. We
Yes.
have the Waxman creation of the female monster from Bride of Frankenstein. Jaws from, of course, by John Williams. Danny Elfman's Nightmare Before Christmas, which I've conducted this film actually with
Right.
orchestra, and there's a huge cult following for this. We did it with
I'm sure.
I did it with Atlanta, and there were, I think, three totally full houses. They
Wow.
come out, they come dressed up,
Yes.
and there had been at some point debate as to if this is a Christmas or Halloween film. It's definitely a Halloween film. This is the most kind of
I agree.
Halloween. It's as Halloween as it gets. So we're excited to put it on this Princess Leia's theme, because I hope that there'll be at least one Princess Leia costume in the
Right.
audience. Pirates of the Caribbean, music from Harry Potter, and Star Wars, of course.
Yes.
So it's a good mix. And
Something for
I
everyone,
love
pretty
John
much.
Williams. Yeah, yeah, something for everyone. But like for me, it could be this kind of variety show like this, but it's I think with the addition of John Williams
Oh, yeah.
and the Bach Stokowski and the Klaus Badelt, Pirates of the Caribbean, we have this incredible diversity of music that I feel like will, as you said, like it has something for everyone, and hopefully people will come really excited to
Yeah, and
have
maybe
fun with
stuff
this.
that they didn't realize that they liked, that they've heard, and like, oh, that's what the name of it is. I mean, we all listen to the radio.
Yep.
Like, I like
Oh
that
yeah,
song, but I don't know the name
for
of it.
sure. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Like I get
Yeah.
kids all the time saying,
So
"Do you know the name of this song?" And I'm like, I know the song, but I don't know like the name of it."
right,
So
right, right,
it's a
right.
great moment for them to put the pieces together to go, "Oh, that's what it is."
Right. Oh, totally. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of extremely recognizable music that they'll then have a program they can look and know what it's called, and
Yes, and I can't wait
hopefully
for our
just become
audience.
fans of the orchestra.
Yes, and I can't wait for our audience to be able to see you working with, and even our orchestra to be able to work with you, because you've had such a vast experience working with film as well. So you bring a lot to the table about like your background and knowing about these pieces, and having worked with John Williams. That's really cool too. My mentor
Yeah.
Bernhardt worked with him as well. They're really good friends, and
Oh yeah.
I've gotten to
Yeah.
be able to know a little bit about him over the years, and having met him, it's just really amazing.
He's a he's a international treasure, and
Oh,
we are
truly, truly.
so lucky to have
Yeah,
had him writing all of this music and continues to write concert music,
yes.
and hopefully for a really long time.
I totally agree. So what's next on your, I mean, obviously you're coming to SoNA to conduct. Are you working on more film stuff? Because I know that's always a
Yeah.
thing side by side
I'm
doing.
well, I actually this week I'm in Syracuse. We're doing our second, so we just did our opening masterworks
Okay.
2 weeks ago with James Ennis playing the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto and pictures at an exhibition. And then this week it's Bernstein Candide Schumann Cello Concerto with Sterling Elliott. And then a piece by Anna Klein, uh, which leads us into the West Side Story, symphonic
Nice.
dances at the very end. The Anna Klein is This Midnight Hour, which definitely also kind of falls into this
Great.
Halloween kind of theme. I actually suggested it, and then we kind of thought maybe it would just sap up all the rehearsal time. It's a really hard piece, and
Yeah. Yeah.
but it has the same kind of ethos of the music that we put in the first half of this. It would have easily fit into it, but it would have probably been a little too ambitious. So we'll just I'll have to save that for next time and have Paul do it on any of the future programs.
Oh, cool. Well, I'm
So
so excited for
yeah,
everyone to be able to meet and get to know you and our orchestra and our patrons. And I think it's an exciting program, and it's going to be a night that no one should miss. You know, I we put this out on our Inside the Music page so people can check out ahead of time. I put links together so that they can go and read more about some of the artists. I think I put yours out there about a little bit more about you, and even like John's page, people to go learn more about John Williams and just some of the interesting facts about the pieces themselves before they come, and just that connection and feeling like you know somebody immediately when you hear it. You're
yeah,
like, oh yeah, I can connect with them.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, and
that's
I also will be definitely being a host, at this concert. So hopefully they'll get to dig into some of that beforehand, and if for some reason they don't, I'll set everything up. I love doing that, and I plan on doing that at this concert.
I love that. I love being able to set the atmosphere so people kind of are right there with you in that moment as musicians to be like, oh yeah, I totally felt that.
Yeah,
Or that. It's
yeah,
that imagery that you set up. Very
exactly.
cool. Well, is there
Yeah.
anything that you want to share with us before you head out? Like maybe about the concert, or just what you're excited about, or just or
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think just generally I can say how excited I am to be coming. And I I was very I felt excited when Paul called me to or texted me. I mean, that's how it happened. He literally texted me, and and I and I feel excited about this program in particular because it's kind of very strongly in my wheelhouse as far as this sort of program goes. I believe in every piece that we're doing. I think they're all spectacular pieces. They're all so different. They make the orchestra shine. Love meeting new orchestras, and so this will be my first time conducting there. And I've heard so much about the orchestra and how wonderful they are, and because I follow them on social media, I can see all the
yay.
little, the way that that you all do kind of spread the messaging about the orchestra and also really spotlight musicians themselves. I think that that's extremely important because when people come to the orchestra, they're not just listening to music, but they're connecting to the people that are on the stage, uh, beyond the conductor, to all the individual musicians, and getting to know them and seeing their personalities in a concert like this, because some of them will hopefully dress up,
Oh yeah.
and the choices that they make will be I think really fun for other people to see, because I don't know what I'm actually dressing up as. I have a lot of costumes. I
Is it
haven't
gonna be
figured that
like a
out yet,
secret?
but
Like you're not gonna tell anybody to like
well, no, it won't be an intentional secret,
okay.
but it will be a secret only in that I have not decided.
Well, it's
So it's
hard as
going
a
to be
conductor. I mean, we're
probably
moving
last minute.
around, and so you have to think of
Right,
something
exactly.
to move with you, right? You
Right.
can't
So
be like the Tin
all
Man.
of
Right.
right, right, exactly. I think all of my costumes that I have, and I have a lot, um, most of them are good for conducting.
Good.
There are a couple. There are a couple that are kind of intentionally for conducting, and then
Perfect.
others that I've maybe altered in such a way so that I'm able to move in them. And then, of course, yeah, like you said, like I'm not going to dress up as a Tin Man because it's just impossible.
Right.
But sometimes it's funny to conduct in a costume that seems impossible to
True.
conduct in, and yeah, and then you can get good results. So
That's awesome. Well, we are so excited
yeah,
to have you, and it has been wonderful to get to know you, Larry, and a little bit more about your journey into becoming a conductor, and then the genesis of how you created the program for this concert. We're just so excited about it, and I hope that everyone takes time to go to Inside the Music, not only watching this video, of course, but to learn more about the pieces, and then come out and bring all of their friends to the concert. It's going to be amazing and a night not to miss for sure.
absolutely. And next time we do the podcast, I'll ask you all the questions.
That sounds great. I'm always
Yeah,
open. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, yep, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
All right. Well, Larry, thank you so much. And to all of our patrons at SoNA and our friends, we will see you soon on Saturday, October 28th. And hope to see you dressed up as well. Thank you so much, Larry. Bye.
Thanks, Sarah.